Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Friday, February 26, 2016. Phil here in the Lynn-Life and Walks with Lions in the Jamie Body Mind, other teammates in other dimensions, most of us in the subatomic and most of us in the physical. We've been having a very interesting period of time since our leader Ra has gone into the recovery mode. He still looks kind of like a glowing ball of gel, and he's lodged in a safe space. And what's been happening is that a lot of the team members are pretending that he's dead, and he's not dead at all. He's simply recovering. And they're saying and doing things they're really going to regret. I know they are, because he isn't dead. And I think that they all have some measure of loyalty to him, and they're going to feel awful about what they're doing. But we can't focus on the people who aren't doing the work. We need to focus on the ones who are. As always, our foundational intention is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan. And with that, the videoed portions of today's efforts begin. Honest to goodness, I really think that some of them are considering trying to kill what's left of Ra in a crazy way that people do when they're headed in the wrong direction and they just want to keep going. It's just this will all be so great if only Ra is gone. I'm quoting somebody, right. Because then I can be the king, and I just have to wrap up this one little detail that Ra actually isn't gone.
Right.
Can you hear yourselves? Can you hear yourselves? Ra is recovering just fine. Friends, you're going to really regret this.
That's true.
You're going to feel awful. Black Wolf, how can you sit in that room and listen to those conversations? How can you do that?
And say nothing.
And say nothing. Shame on you.
Shame.
Shame on you, Black Wolf.
Shame on you.
For shame. You know that Ra is recovering. He's recovering. True. And they're talking about murdering him.
That's true. They're not using that word.
But that's what they're talking about. They're talking about murdering Ra.
True.
Can you hear yourselves? Friends, this is Ra you're talking about.
You're plotting murder.
You're plotting murder of the presence that we have found in our searches who has the highest levels of integrity.
That's true.
And we have searched many dimensions for presences who have enough integrity to actually manifest the divine plan and have come up short of that. But we have also been searching of presences with the highest concentrations of truth and integrity that we're able to connect with right now, and our Ra is that presence. So far, we haven't come up with anyone with higher concentrations of truth and integrity.
That's true.
And you're talking about murdering him.
That's true.
Can you hear yourselves? And you're talking about that in the same breath as you purport to be a Search for Truth team member.
That's true.
That's not being a Search for Truth team member. That's something else. They don't like that what we've said is so clearly the truth.
Well, that's true.
It is very clearly the truth. And I feel behind us the presences who are still working in the Search for Truth pillar, and they're kind of echoing it, saying the same things in their own words, in their own voices.
That's true.
The looses are, I believe all the looses are here. I don't feel any of them in that other room with that group of...
No, there aren't any looses
they're actually plotting to murder Ra. There's a group of presences who purport to be Search for Truth team leaders who are plotting to murder Ra.
That's true.
That doesn't even make any sense.
No.
If the intention is to do the work as assigned by more truthful minds above to specifications in every moment. But if the intention is, how can I make this a better all it is for me,
right.
well, then it would make sense. When we get their intention on the table, it always makes sense.
That's true.
Shame on you, Asha.
Shame on you, Asha.
Shame on you, Black Wolf.
And shame on you, Ulysses.
Well, I don't expect any better of Ulysses. That is what I would expect of Ulysses. But shame on you, Asha. Shame on you, Black Wolf. I don't expect any better from Betty Jean.
No, that's true.
And what do I know? I know that the Luces have been most consistently the presences who are most able to sniff out a lie.
That's true.
And the Luces all seem to be here in the Central Search for Truth pillar.
That's true.
And I know that the Ra's, if we're going to generalize, the soul presences from the stream of incarnations that includes Ra,
Yes.
They tend to have higher levels of integrity.
That's true.
And they're all here in the search for truth active efforts of either the central pillar or thing one.
That's not true.
Oh, you're right.
Jimmy is in
Jimmy's
that
in
room.
that room. Shame on you, Jimmy.
Really, though, shame on you.
Shame on you. You're talking about murdering one of your soul brothers.
Right.
Oh, wow. That
That's
is really
gross.
scummy.
That's true. And calling yourself a Search for Truth team member at the same time.
You're going to really need to do some soul searching on that one, and that's some kind of pun that someone is making.
That's true. That's funny.
You-
And true.
But it's really disgusting. What you're doing is disgusting, Jimmy. What we need to do now is publicize this in the Search for Truth community, because
That's
these
true.
people might come in
Right.
with intent to murder Ra.
That's true.
And people would just let them in. These people are plotting.
It's
probably
regicide is killing a
regicide.
royal. Yeah.
Ra wouldn't
He wouldn't
like
call
that,
it that.
because Ra
No.
doesn't think of this as a kingdom or an empire, and
Right.
he doesn't consider himself the king.
No.
Like the phrases you're saying, like, now that Ra has hung up the gloves, what are you
Ra would never
talking
say
about?
that.
Ra would never say that.
That's true.
And the king is dead, the empire is available. Ra,
would never
he doesn't
say
think
that.
of things in those
That's
terms.
true.
And shame on you. This is a lie. We have to publicize it with like this is a lie.
This is a lie.
This is a lie.
This is a
Because
lie.
it could potentially confuse people.
That's true.
This is a lie. These people are lying. Ra is fine. He's not able to lead us right now.
That's true.
But he is fine.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. I can't help but notice that Phil talking here,
Yeah.
that I know some things that I have no way of knowing, and if that's not Ra communicating them to me in some way, then I'm confused.
That's true.
So he is finding a way to do his job, even so.
That's true.
I'm focusing on our Luz, who's down at the base of the pillar. He's talking about poison gases coming up and how it seems to indicate probably what you were saying earlier is a big space down there, a big
That's true.
open air space.
That's true.
That's full of poison gas.
Underground cavern.
What do I know about poison gas? That it can kill people.
That's true.
Upward flow. Let's aim this way up through us, up past all the pure children, into the offices of adults who should be taking action. Everybody who is in the presence of lies, who recognizes them as lies, and who doesn't speak up, you are lying also,
That's
just
true.
with your presence. You can get up and leave. You can say, this isn't true. Get up and leave. There you go. And that way you're at least not joining in the lie. But just by being in the same room with liars, or on the same phone call, or in the same conversation, or in the same chat room, by being in a space in which lies are spoken and not speaking up, you are passively lying. You are also lying
That's true.
with your presence. Black Wolf, that's what you're doing.
That's true.
That's what so many humans are doing also.
That's true.
If you know of lies and you aren't speaking up, and you're sitting in those rooms and in those conversations, and you aren't speaking up, you are lying also.
That's true.
Yes, I am talking to you. Let's focus on loose. He's saying just keep clearing it. Draw our attention up. So by drawing the attention up from where our loose is, we start to move, into basic training. We start to move into basic training, and it's the usual chaotic disaster that basic training always is. It doesn't seem worse or better, or I'm wrong.
No, it doesn't seem worse.
I see picked waving. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. We continue on up into Greenpeace that feels surprisingly nice.
Smells good.
I hear like deciduous forest, leafy, rustly sounds.
I feel nervous about that, and I don't know why.
I like that sound.
I like that sound
me
too.
peace.
It makes me feel good.
What do I know? I know that deciduous trees aren't shaped the same as conifers.
No.
Conifers have the shape that we're looking for.
Tall and pointy.
And deciduous trees often have intertwined branches, sprawling branches. Geoff, probably the conifers work better than this.
That's true. Yeah, it feels like, oh, whoops. This isn't the tree I'm looking for. That's right.
What do I know? I know when Pan showed up in 2013, he showed up riding on the top of a sequoia tree that just started shooting up into the workspace.
That's true.
And there was Pan.
That's true. Okay, I hear what Geoff is saying. He's saying, I think this was my mistake. Help me get clear on it. I could feel that I was supposed to have trees, and then I didn't ask what kind of trees. I just went with the kind of trees I like.
Or that you know how to grow.
Or that I know how to grow.
Right, and you don't know how to grow conifers.
Right.
And so you went with what you knew how to grow.
That's true.
Oh, this is the mistake we all make.
And that actually feels true. That feels like that's what happened.
It does. So just grow a conifer. You can learn how, read up on it, grow a conifer.
And that actually feels better to him when he starts to move in that direction.
Right. And let's pull these deciduous trees out right now and hand them up. It's not that we don't like deciduous trees. We do.
They're just not the right trees.
Not for this effort.
I think what Geoff is saying is that he's noticed he has this pattern of doing what is comfortable, and because what is comfortable feels familiar, he thinks it feels good, and because it feels good, he thinks it's the right thing to do. And he says he's done this a lot lately, and he keeps noticing it and tripping up over it over and over again. And Geoff speaking, I don't seem to be making progress, and every time I feel like, oh my gosh, this
lesson has entered your working zone, and now you're practicing, and you're making the same mistake. And so when you intend to learn something, you have to repeat what you intend to learn. For example, if you're calling someone Tom and he prefers to be called Thomas,
yes.
Well, how to break that is to say 100 times, Thomas, 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 Thomas.
That's true.
So just say 100 times whatever it is that is the correct response in the situations in which you continually make the same mistake.
Geoff speaking, I guess the correct response would be to ask what's actually needed in this situation.
Well, your error pattern is to go with the comfortable rather than with learning something new.
Yeah, that's definitely
And so
true.
go with, and what new thing could I learn here? What new thing could I learn here? What can I practice that I don't already know? What new action can I take? What new decision can I make? What new choice can I make? What new choice can I make?
That feels good. There's a head-clearing feeling.
It could be the trees, it could be what's going on under the trees, it could be the people who are under the trees. But I know what to do about this is to get the trees out. Let's get the trees out, and then we'll know what it is. We can sit here trying to figure it out and waste a lot of time, or we can just get the trees out. They don't belong. Let's do it. And there are people who don't want them to go. They like the shade of the trees, they like their hammock under the trees, they like their comfy village under the trees.
So they can go with the trees, maybe.
Exactly. Off you go. Right. Off you go. Off you go. Go with the trees. And what this shows us is when we know something that needs to be done, to do it right away. Just do it. Do it. Do it.